Hello everybody, George from Monde Guitars.
I'm Nick. What's going on?
Today we're going to be taking a look at the Boss OC-5 Octave pedal. So much fun stuff going on. I was just listening to Nick rip some riffs on this thing. So basically what you have here is you have an octave pedal, an octave above, an octave below, and then you can adjust the range. You have a direct level all the way to the left, which after messing around with it, me and Nick realized it only affects the direct out. It does not affect the signal whatsoever. Also have two settings on this thing. You have poly, you have vintage. Best way I can describe it is, not only is poly going to be able to recognize full chordage, but it sounds like a bass player is literally playing with you.
Yeah. So typically these octave pedals, in their vintage state, they recognize single notes.
Yeah.
When you do a chord, it'll pick one.
One note.
No one knows which one it's going to pick, but it picks one and it does the octave to that. In poly mode, it is polyphonic, so it'll pick up every note in the chord and do the octaves on all those notes.
I'll show you that later too.
Yeah, and then so switching between those also switches what that fourth knob does.
Yes.
So in vintage mode, the fourth knob is a -2 octave. Mm-hmm. So you're getting 2 octaves below your note. And in poly mode, it's like almost like a notch shifter.
Oh, okay, for the
so it'll highlight. Yeah, it'll highlight what range, what frequency needs to be bumped up. So all the way down, your bass frequency is highlighted, and then all the way up, I think it does the higher octave more up front. It still includes everything that you're hearing, but just focuses more on one frequency than the other. Okay, so again, we'll just go over really quick what we're using. Fender Strat, Antiquity, Humbucker, Fat 50s in the middle and the neck. George is using what?
Fishman Fluence, Tosin Abasi set.
And the amp is the George. The
amp is the Fillmore 25 EL84 powered. 2 channels. We use them both. We pretty much leave it set the same way every time we do videos, almost every time. So we have your clean, pretty much all the EQ is 12 o'clock. Your gain, we're taking away some frequencies and adding a little more, but we're on the drive setting on the dirt side, and we have, I'd say, about the drive 75% all the way up, right?
Yeah, we were going for a definitely more aggressive tone on that one because who doesn't like a ton of drive with an octave?
Of course.
They're meant to go together. So here's the amp.
Clean first?
Yeah, well, let's do clean. So here's clean. Now we'll switch over to some drive.
Very crisp.
Yeah, not super duper saturated, but it'll do the job. So here we go. I think we'll start with it on clean and just kind of show what the octaves do.
Absolutely.
So in order for us to highlight certain octaves, we're going to turn the knobs up and turn them down. So our first knob change is going to be the +1 octave. So this is an octave up. We're going to turn that up all the way, and we're going to turn the other knobs all the way down. And this is on vintage mode. So here,
first, right?
Yep, here is just guitar. Here's with an octave above. So it's not like the sound you're hearing, the prominent note is your actual note.
Yeah.
The +1 octave is definitely subtle. It's not like a whammy.
No.
Where that's the focus. It's kind of like a little accent. It's a little flavor, right? A little pinch of salt. So now let's go to the -1 octave. So this is an octave below. We turned the +1 off. So here's just a A. Oh.
your chest move on that. I feel like I'm standing next to a bass player right now.
Yeah. So without saying, that's more prominent than the +1 octave.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. I think, especially with this one, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I think the level of the octave down and the actual note are the same.
Yeah, it sounds to be.
Yeah, I think they're pretty even. So you are going to get both notes, same time. Sounds great.
Tracks very, very well, by the way.
Yeah. So let's turn that one down. Now we're going to go to -2 octaves. This one is going to be a little more challenging to play on the lower strings, just because I think it gets so low you can't hear it. But let's try it. We'll try on the low strings. We'll try on the high strings.
Your dog will go crazy for sure in your house.
Yeah. We're sorry. It just happens. So here's your A. Here's with a 2 octaves down. So, funny thing is happening there. I think, I could be wrong, I don't think that's an octave, that's 2 octaves. I think that's a different note.
Yeah.
So it's trying its hardest to get down to 2 octaves below the A, and I don't think it's quite getting there, so it's compensating by just giving you
The closest thing.
the closest thing it can. I believe when we go to the higher notes, it will actually give you a true octaves.
It'll be more prominent, yeah.
So here's like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so for sure, you're getting your 2 octaves down there. And I know you said earlier, sounds like a bass player.
Yeah.
That sounds like someone's plucking a bass.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely more like articulation. Like you almost can feel like
Yeah.
that finger motion.
Yeah, almost like upright.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that.
So not only does it do all those octaves by themselves, you can combine them with each knob. So I think what we'll do first is we'll do the +1 octave at 12 o'clock, and we'll do the -1 octave at 12 o'clock. So you should hear equal both, right? So we'll start with the clean setting again. So here's an A. Here's with both octaves.
Definitely, you can make it out a little bit easier.
Yeah. So you're hearing 3 notes. Again, I think the +1 octave is a little lower on the level. The focus is definitely on your root note and your -1 octave. Let's add the -2 in there. I think it can get a little hectic with
With all this going on.
with 4 different sounds going on, but we'll try it. That sounds pretty cool to me. Again, you don't typically hear a lot of octave pedals with like clean signals.
Yeah. More the distorted stuff.
I could be wrong. I could just be listening to terrible music, and they don't do that. But usually there is drive, right? A fuzz, heavy distortion. There's something going in there. So let's do that. I think for this one, we'll turn down the -2. We'll turn up the +1, and we'll leave the -1 right in the middle. All right, so here is no pedal. Here is with the pedal.
The tracking on that is freaking awesome.
Yeah, there's no latency. There's no like, it's trying to figure out what you're doing. It's just like, I'm playing, and you're making that noise.
Sounds like someone's like perfectly locked in with you. Like,
Yeah.
dead on.
Exactly. So that was all in vintage mode, right? So I think I'll just do a really quick thing in poly, and then maybe you can take over the poly section.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so here's we'll do poly. We'll put the range knob, because now the fourth knob becomes range. Put that right in the middle. And it does sound a little different. A little more like the notch and the frequency pushed up more towards the mids.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so let's see, turn it down, see what happens. See, now all that -1 octave is gone.
Yeah, so you're not now it's more prominent.
That's cool. I think that's super cool. You can do a bunch of fun stuff with it. So let's take a quick break. We'll switch over. I'll be gone with this. George will be back with his, and we'll do the poly mode. See you guys in a second. All right, and we're back. Through the power of film production, I don't have a guitar, George does. And we're gonna show you guys the poly side of the Boss OC-5 Octave pedal. So here we go. First, we're gonna go on the clean channel. We're just gonna give you a chord and show you it in vintage mode, which is not the appropriate mode for chords. So it's gonna sound a little weird. So here we go. That was without the pedal. Sounds great. Here is with the pedal. Okay, not the best sound in the world. Could be used by someone for something, but you can hear the octave is trying to pick which note it wants to do the effect on, and it's jumping
Back and forth
between the different notes.
It's like struggling.
So there's an audible like, you can hear it not doing the right thing.
It sounds better when you do it like that.
If you need a sample for the OC-6, you just let me know, and we'll record it. Okay, so let's put it in the mode that it's meant to be in for chords. So this is poly mode. George is going to give us the same chord without the pedal. Delicious. Now, poly mode with the pedal. Here we go. George, go ahead. Very nice. So you can hear, I don't want to say you can hear it. It's more of like a feel thing. Yes, you can hear it, but you can feel that it's doing its job because it's not doing that. It's finding all those notes and applying the octaves to those notes. The other thing to remember is, yes, that was a 6-note chord. There are 18 notes going on, right? So you have 18 notes trying to all find this sonic space. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it sounds great.
The fact that it's A, keeping up with it, and B, doing it in a way that sounds good.
Yeah,
right?
It's musical.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, that's the word. It's musical. Yes, traditionally octaves, you're gonna use more single note stuff, but I can see this with like a real spacious reverb and like some delay on it, maybe even like a light flange, and just have it be like this atmospheric kind of like
kind of deal. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I can see this being cool with, like the multi-note thing. So let's see. That was just clean. So let's see what happens when we add a little fuzz, a little dirt to it. All right. So this is no pedal. This is yes pedal. I mean, I think that's pretty cool.
Sounds awesome. Absolutely.
You know, as he was playing, I was kind of messing around with the knobs, adding a little bit of the adding the -1 octave and subtracting the +1 octave. And then again, with the poly mode, that fourth knob is kind of like which frequency you want to stick out the most. And just sweeping it back and forth
yeah.
and seeing where you like it. And you can't go wrong with that. Again, this is something where I think we talk about this. We talk about this a lot, right? So pedals can either be like a platform for something, or they can be a color for your platform, right? This is definitely a platform, right? This is like, you know the effect is on.
Yeah.
You know what it's doing.
It's very prominent.
Yeah, for sure. Now, granted, right, if we did something, let's try this. I want to turn these down a little bit. So what I did was I took the +1 and the -1 octave and I brought them down to like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock on the knob. I just want to see if it just adds some color. So let's just play a little bit. So that was, you know, you could still hear that if you're really looking for it, that it was an octave that it was doing, but turn everything down and it does add some color, add some low end to your tone. It also kind of brightens up the highs, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're at home, you're hanging out in the room, you're playing your guitar with the amp, and you want a little bit of like, almost like you're playing with a bassist, right? That's something you could do.
Absolutely, and the bass player will actually be locked in with you.
Your rhythm section is going to be great, and it'll never talk back to you.
That's right.
Well, I mean, bass players probably shouldn't talk back to guitar players anyway.
And it'll get to the gig on time, which I know is a problem for some bass players.
And it just, you know, it's in a pedal, and you can step on it. You can't step on a bass player. Like,
That's true.
I mean, you could, but it's not acceptable.
You could also send the direct out to another amp, the PA system, recording device, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that one. All right, and yeah, so I mean, I think overall, right, you got some good octave tones out of this. You have a +1, a -1, and a -2 octaves. You can blend all three of them. You can mix and match whatever you want. There's 2 modes, vintage and poly, and
A lot of options.
what's really cool is if you get a note low enough, the brown on the pedal starts to make sense.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, because you get
When
that
you're checking
brown
your pants.
sound, the brown note, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so this is the Boss OC-5 Octave pedal. Any last thoughts?
Great pedal. I think you guys should definitely, guys and girls, come check it out. You can find it here at Beaumont Guitars. If you'd like to check it out online, that is available too. But definitely come in and get your hands on one of these while you still can.
Absolutely. Hope you guys enjoy the video.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Peace.
It just sounds so good.
Stay in one. I would stay in one position. Don't, because you're popping and crackling for some reason all over the place.
Yeah, Harry's wiring. How's your wiring? Good.
My wiring is fine.
All right, so can you pick whatever you're gonna do and stop touching the fucking?
Oh my god. Listen, if they're hearing squeaking noises, I've meant to do that. That's what the guitar is supposed to do.
Stop touching everything.
Fishman technology. No, there's so
That
many.
honestly, those pickups sound like shit.
Don't listen to this.
I don't know what the fuck. All you guys bought into that fucking Toast and the Bossy hype. They are the fucking worst sounding things I've ever heard in my life.
Your thumb doesn't even bend the right way, bro.
No, I can't.